Alrighty. So let's work on these problems that I had y'all do. So the first one's saying find the leading term of the following polynomials. So just from looking at it, you can see that that is the term. Oh, see, look, I already made a mistake. Okay, so find the largest exponent. We can see that that 3 is the largest exponent. So that means that entire term is my leading term. So my degree for this polynomial is 3, and my leading coefficient is square root of 2. Now, since if you're watching this after we went over everything else, we know that since that's my leading term, the largest exponent happens to be odd, and the square root of 2 is positive. So that means that my graph is going to look like this. Okay, I can move on to the next one. Now, again, this is one that's pre-factored. So to find the leading term, you just have to find the degree. Wait, is this find the leading term or find the degree? Find the leading term. Okay, so to find the leading term, you just find the leading term of each group. So this is 5x times 2x times, and now this happens 3 times, so it's going to be x cubed. So if you multiply all this together, you get 10, 3, 4, 5, 10x to the 5th. And so my degree is 5, and my leading term is 10. And again, because that's odd, I know that my graph has to look like this once I actually do graph it. Then finally, we go to the last one. Again, it's pre-factored, so I just have to find the leading term of each group. I try to trick you on this one. So let's see if I got you. So the leading term here is 2x to the 5th. The leading term here is x, but it happens 5 times. Now here, the leading term, remember, the leading term is the term with the largest exponent. So my leading term is actually this guy, the negative x. And that was the tricky part. And the negative x happened 3 times. So if I work this out, that's 10, 11, 12, that's x to the 13. And then 2 times, now that's negative times negative times negative, because it happens 3 times. Negative times negative times negative is still negative. So 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. So negative 2x to the 13. Again, this is odd. That's negative, so this graph is going to look like this. A cubic because it's odd, and then flipped because it's a negative number in front. The leading term are the degree is 13, and the leading coefficient is negative 2. All right, so that one's tricky. Let's go on. The other parts that I skipped for y'all to do were all the way down here on the bottom of page 10. And so here it just says determine the end behavior for the following polynomials. So again, same thing that we just did. When they say end behavior, they want you to find the leading term. Okay? And so there's my leading term. Odd. So I know that, and then the number in front is positive. So if I look at my table, odd and positive, I can tell the odd means it's going to look like a cubic. Positive means it's going to be a positive cubic. So my graph is going to look like this. And we would say that it falls to the left and it rises to the right. Okay. Now the last one, 5x times 2x minus 3 times x plus 7 cubed. Right, so again, first we got to find the leading term. The leading term is the leading term of each group multiplied together. So it's going to be 5x times 2x times x, which happens 3 times. It says 3, 4, 5, so that's 10x to the 5th. This is positive. This is odd. So I know that my graph is going to look like that, which again, you would say falls to the left, rises to the right. Okay. So hopefully you got those two right. Apparently I did a lot of the same graph, but okay. So let's go to the very last question that I had y'all do on your own. Just emptied the litter box, so my cat walks right in. Fantastic. It's like he knows, like, oh, I see you put in some effort there. Would it be a shame if I used it? Just made my room not stinky. All right. So notice that this is not prefactored. So unlike the one on page 14, where it was already factored, and so the leading term, we had to multiply the leading term of each group. Here, the leading term is just literally the largest exponent. So my leading term is just x to the 4th. Okay. So here, the end behavior, I notice that this is even. The number in front is positive. So remember, these are the ones that look like parabolas are even. The ones that look like cubics are odd. Positive parabola, negative parabola. Positive cubic, negative cubic. So I have a positive even, so it's going to be this picture. Put a little happy face. Anyway, so the leading term was easy. End behavior isn't too bad. Now the part that's going to be difficult here is finding the x-intercepts. So I have x to the 4th minus 2x cubed minus 4x squared plus 8x. And so here, remember you set it equal to 0, and you have to factor it yourself. Now notice that each of these has an x in common. And so I can factor the x out. And that leaves me with x cubed minus 2x squared. Basically, all the exponents just drop down 1. And then from there, we can factor by grouping, just like we did earlier in this section. Okay, there's still that x on the outside. Here, these two have an x squared in common. So I have x squared, parentheses, x minus 2. Here, these two have a negative 4 in common. If it leads with a negative, you have to take the negative out. And so notice that we end up with this is what's factored from the first one. This is what's factored from this one. You know you did it right if they have the same thing in common. If they don't, it means that you probably should have factored a negative out of one of them, usually the second one. So now I have the x from the beginning. I have the x minus 2 that I can take out. and what's left is x squared minus 4. This is the x squared. There's the 4. That's what's left over if the x minus 2 gets taken out. Basically, we moved it to the outside. Okay, so now x squared minus 4, that is a happy factor. X squared minus 4 is just x plus 2, x minus 2. And now we can set it equal to 0. So you have your 4 factors. So I have x equals 0, x minus 2 equals 0, x plus 2 equals 0, x minus 2 equals 0. So x equals 2, x equals negative 2, and x equals 2. So my x-intercepts are, in this case, roots. Remember, roots is the other term we use for them. The other term is zeros, or x-intercepts, all the same thing. So x equals negative 2, x equals 0, x equals 2. Negative 2 happened once, 0 happened once, but 2 happened twice. Okay, if it's 1, it's going to cross as a straight line. One, so that also crosses as a straight line. And then 2 is just going to touch or bounce. So what made this problem different from the other one was, in this problem, the x-intercepts, the leading term was easy, but the x-intercepts were difficult. In the other one, the leading term was difficult, but since it was factored, the x-intercepts were easy. But anyway, so noting that my largest exponent is a 2 and my smallest exponent, my largest x-intercept is a 2, my smallest x-intercept is a negative 2, I'm just going to put 2 tick marks on each side. Try to evenly space them out. I know that's not perfectly even, but okay, so my x-intercepts are at 0, 2, and negative 2. Okay, at negative 2, it's just going to cross as a flat line. At 0, it's going to cross as a flat line. And here, it's going to touch. But you have to know which direction is it going. Is it going up this way? Is it going down this way? You have to know which way you're going. And so that's where the end behavior comes into effect. We know that it looks like a positive parabola. So it's going to end going this way, and it's going to end going this way as a positive parabola. So we put the pieces together. We know that the graph has to be coming from above, and it has to cross. So it's going to start from up here. It's going to cross. It has to, and notice I crossed, I didn't slow down as I crossed, I just went straight through. I'm going to have to go and cross the other one, so I have to turn back up. I'm going to cross straight through. And then here is a touch. So touch, since I'm from above, it has to look like a parabola. And notice everything checks out. I started going up to the left, and I'm ending going up to the right, which agrees with my end behavior. And so that's my graph. Again, it takes time to get used to doing these, but remember, cross as a straight line. Cross as a straight line. All right, but anyway, please let me know if you have any questions. This is the most difficult section. This is the most difficult section in here, is I believe this, only because it has a lot of material in it. It covers so much in so little time. But please let me know if you have any questions, and I'll do everything I can to help y'all out. All right, so y'all have a good one. Y'all got this.